It's all set.
Good morning. We gather together as family, friends, to remember and to do so with gratitude, the life of Rob Krueger. Thank you for coming alongside his family this morning as we honor his memory and celebrate his life, and as we comfort one another in our sense of loss. We begin with a reading from the wisdom writings of Ecclesiastes. It says, "There's a time for everything, and a purpose for every activity under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to uproot. A time to tear down and a time to build. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to scatter stones and a time to gather them. A time to embrace and a time to refrain. A time to search, time to give up, a time to keep, and a time to let go. A time to tear, a time to mend, a time to be silent, and a time to speak, a time to love, and a time for hate, a time for war, and a time for peace. What gain have the workers from their toil? I know that there is nothing better for human beings than to be happy and enjoy themselves as long as they live. Moreover, it is God's gift that all should eat and drink and take pleasure in all their toil." Rob certainly would have known all the seasons of life that are there expressed in the wisdom writing of Ecclesiastes. Well, since you have learned of Rob's death just a week ago today, you have informally been telling the stories and sharing the memories of his life with you. You did so as you gathered before the service today and as people arrived and maybe have left, but they came to share a little bit about what they knew of him and made that connection with you. And we will do a little of that in the service today. It's an important thing that we do, to talk about the gifts of someone's life in ours and name what we will take with us and use for good because we have known that loved one. The sharing of memories and the naming of gifts gives us a good start in the grieving process that eventually helps us to become reconciled to this new way of being now with Rob in memory and in spirit. So in a little bit, I will provide an opportunity, just an opportunity with no pressure, just an opportunity for anyone who may wish to share a story or a brief tribute as we remember him together today. But first, allow me to share some things I've come to learn about Rob. Rob was born and raised here in Wausau, the second of 4 children of Robert and Shirley Johnson Krueger. He was born Robert E. Krueger Jr. Graduated from Wausau High School. He worked on motorcycles from early on, including for SK Motorcycle. He went on to school at the UW Marathon campus initially, and then earned his degrees from the electrical engineering and computer science at the UW-Madison. He met Susan Gow through his sister Nancy. And they were friends, Nancy and Susan. And Susan was pursuing her master's degree at the University of Iowa in Iowa City. And she would drive through Madison. And on her way home would sometimes pick up Rob and bring him to Wausau. Well, the story goes that on one Christmas trip home, Rob turns to her and says, "You want to get together New Year's Eve as we hang out with some friends?" And they did, and the rest is history. Well, after earning his degree, Rob found work with IBM in Virginia. Susan went with him, picking up work in her field of social work. And they were married in Virginia, and their children, Isaac and Ethan, were born there, and they remained in Virginia for 12 years before coming back to Wausau. While still in Virginia, Rob picked up his certification in computer programming, and here he gained employment with Wausau Financial as a computer programmer, and then retired just 4 years ago from County Materials Corporation. In Rob's retirement, he had more time to work on the many projects that occupied his free time all through his life. He was the kind of guy that when he saw a problem, he would fix it. Air conditioning in a rented motor home on a trip, he wouldn't take it in. He fixed it. Shelves at Susan's work office were all wrong. He'd say, "What about this?" And then go ahead and make it happen. A car needed servicing or fixing, Rob did it. Same thing with motorcycles. Susan tells me he instinctively knew how to fix things. And if he didn't, he was driven to find out how to fix it so he could. He took great satisfaction from taking apart an old car or old motorcycle, cleaning up all the parts and putting it back together again. And he helped you with your cars and cycles as well. And then sometimes he would buy back that beautifully refurbished vehicle that you had asked him to fix. His passion was motorcycles, I understand. He was racing as soon as he could. Numerous first place trophies tell the stories of his motocross racing. He was a member of the American Motorcycle Association. Rob needed a workshop, so we built a 2-story one with a skylight in Virginia and one in the basement here in Wausau. Rob was an excellent woodworker, whether it was a beautiful rocking horse for the boys when they were very, very young, or a built-in floor-to-ceiling bookshelf. He had a creative eye for design, and each product and project showed a quality of craftsmanship, each corner perfectly aligned. He was a perfectionist that way, which was nice, but sometimes challenging, right, Susan? As he would start over things that were not quite up to his standards. Rob also enjoyed model railroading and worked with the Wisconsin Valley Railroad Club here in Wausau for a time. Ethan's bedroom houses the H.O. scale railroad that he put together with his sons in his home. During a period of unemployment in Virginia, he enjoyed being able to spend more time with his sons. Rob liked to include them in whatever he did, teaching them how to build and repair things, stressing all the safety precautions, I understand, that they needed to observe, as well as the importance of doing a job well done. Important to Rob was his family. He and Susan enjoyed playing tennis and bike riding, especially on their Tandon recumbeth. He was an avid reader and enjoyed reading to the boys when they were young. He was intentional about spending time with Isaac and Ethan. He was a man of traditional values, a man of his word, strong work ethic, extremely bright, but not one to flaunt what he could do. Though he was always thinking and using his mind, people also were important to him. That's a nice blend you don't always find in people. He was generous with his time and ability, willing to help out when needed. And he loved to laugh with friends and was loyal in friendship. I think this would be a good time for me to just pause and to see if there's anyone here who might like to share a story. I think you could stay where you are, though if you'd really like to be on camera, I'm just pausing. Is there anything that you'd like to add or a story you'd like to share? John Claypool said, at the time of the death of his very young daughter, that the people close to us are a gift. They're on loan to us to love and to cherish for their time, their lifetime. And we are thankful for all the joy that they have brought to us, for all that we have learned from them in their time with us, and for what of them will go with us in the days ahead. And I know that you think of Rob with that same awareness of gift and blessing. From the Jewish book of poems and prayers, I would like to read one called We Remember Them. In the rising of the sun and its going down, we remember them. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them. In the blowing of the wind and the chill of winter, we remember them. In the opening of the buds and the rebirth of spring, we remember them. In the blueness of the sky and the warmth of summer, we remember them. In the rustling of leaves and the beauty of autumn, we remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them. When we have joys we yearn to share, we remember them. So long as we live, they too shall live, for they are now a part of us as we remember them. Thomas Campbell said, to live in the hearts we leave behind is not to die. I invite you to pray with me. Eternal God, from whom we come and to whom we return, we commend Rob to your eternal care. Even amid deep sadness, we're grateful for many things today. For the gift of life itself, as we often take for granted. For the memory of all who've gone before us. For the people that positively impact our lives and bless our days. Especially today, we're grateful for Rob. We're grateful for all in him that was good and kind and respected by others and made this world richer for his presence. We're grateful for his gifts and abilities by which our lives have been blessed. His creativity, his skilled craftsmanship, his ability to fix things, and how he willingly did so to make our lives better and easier. We're grateful for his love, his care, his generosity, his devotion to family, his loyalty and friendship, and for the lessons and values he taught with his life. For these and so much more, we are grateful. As with any death of someone close to us, we may have left things unfinished, unsaid. Maybe we didn't get to say goodbye. Help us with these. Come alongside these whom Rob loved with strength and courage to face their loss and all the changes that his death brings to their daily living. Bring joy in the recollection of cherished memories, comfort in the love of family and friends, and patience with the long journey of grief. We're reminded today of our own mortality. May that which we have gained from Rob's life now live on in us. And may we go to live each day with gratitude for the blessings that are ours, respect for all creation, love for one another, and trust in your sustaining grace. We continue now in prayer as we listen to the Lord's Prayer.
This day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory,
As you go from here, may the love of friends, the warmth of memory, and the presence of hope fill you with strength and peace, that you may greet the breaking of tomorrow's dawn with joy.
I'd like to say something. After thinking about it, public speaking terrifies me, but Rob was such a guy, I gotta say this. I knew Rob for about 52 years, and we shared this passion for motorcycling and trail riding, and I used to always jokingly refer to him as the deep woods deer, because he was so fast and made riding look so smooth and simple. And whenever I'd spend an afternoon with him, I'd come away with a feeling that there are really good people in this world, and no matter what problems I had, I was grateful to spend time with them. And one thing when we would ride and we would take a break, he'd talk about his sons and his wife, Sue. He talked about the fun things him and Sue did when they were first together, living out east. And he always talked about, and I always thought Rob was the smartest person I ever knew.
Yeah.
Not only in technical and mechanical things, but even on the human condition. He could open my eyes to things that troubled me, you know, and help resolve things. And he always said that his boys were so capable of understanding abstract things, it always amazed him, things that he struggled with. But he said it just came natural to the boys. And I loved him like a brother, and I'm sorry that he's gone.
Yeah. Thank you.
I got the time, I was lucky enough to spend the summer in Virginia as a nanny for Isaac, and so I got to know Rob pretty well. And I was trying to describe him to somebody the other day, and the best I could come up with is he's a perfect combination of Neil deGrasse Tyson, Bob Vila, and the teacher from the Magic Schoolhouse. He just, like, all that qualities together, and he taught me how to make a mozzarella hot dog and the true purpose of baby powder.
Well, now we have to ask. What is the true purpose?
I cannot share.
Oh, cannot share. Okay.
It's not just for babies.
Okay. Oh, thank you. Anybody else? Continue to tell the stories wherever you go.
And this does bring our service for Rob to a close now. Thank you for sharing, and let's continue to share the stories as Susan and family have invited you all to a luncheon, which will be in our next room over. At this time, we can retire to the other room, and maybe Susan and family, why don't you lead us? And we can all follow. Yes. See that? Okay.
You know what she sees me about or not? She's got some cakes. She a real one?
Get a copy.
I did ship brother. He sent me a picture of it. One piece at a time as it eats.